Peace and family. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 19th of September 2017. How is everybody doing? You got to bear with me. I'm going to do something different today because you guys only see what I'm able to show. But I got my coffee, and as always, I'm praying for y'all, and I got something to share. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to definitely do that. But first thing, check this out. Look at this. See if I do it right, because I got the laptop. See if I can aim it. Look at this. Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. Thomas Jefferson. It's funny how we hear parables, we hear metaphors, there's always a lot that is, everybody got something to say, right? But then when it comes to attitude or action, it always never adds up. And the funny thing about it is, I know I'm not the only one that sees this. Like Kevin Hart said a long time ago, oh, we just gonna run past that. We just gonna ignore this occurred or that didn't happen. And I understand that we gotta pick our battle. We gotta be methodical. You gotta bear with me, family, because I just moved. This is a first. I hope you guys can see me. Um, but at the end of the day, it's about putting priorities where priorities matter. Now, I don't know why it's stopping, but bear with me because I think it is the Wi-Fi. Got a huge backyard that I have to lay hands on. I prayed for this family. I prayed for this house. I already knew in my spirit, I claimed it, that if and the next time I would move, if I ever move, that God would supply me with everything that I needed. Not what I wanted, what I needed. Let me tell you what, family. He's done that and some. But I got it because you got some people that want to hold on to a facade that God's still ain't real. But yet, don't understand why you're seeing. See, I don't know if you can see me because of the glare, but I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to lean on this deck right here. But you don't realize the synchronicities and nuances that are playing out in your life every day. The ones that are big, the ones that are subtle, the ones that are evident. They're there for a reason, family, just like the people that come into your life. They're there to serve. I don't mean that condescending way. I mean that in a way of guidance. The question is, what is it going to take? What do you have to go through before you finally give yourself permission to claim you? How much pain, how much regret, how much delay do you have to take? Because that's not your story, family. You do understand that, right? No. You might be in a holding pattern just because you have to make a key decision, a decision that should have been made some time ago. I've told people in the past, stop worrying about what's behind you. Stay focused what's in front of you. Because don't worry, in the intended time and moment, guess what's going to happen? That's right. You're going to see him again. And that is what's going to measure your connection in that time and moment. Uh-huh. You do wonder, you actually think that one night stand had no impact? It did. You think that argument you had that still is etched in your spirit didn't have a reason behind it? It did. But can you differentiate between fear compared to love? Can you understand clarity from distraction? See, I understand that the attention span of the average viewer, who am I talking to? Because all you're going to get is love from me. You're going to get prayers from me. Because, see, I give a damn about each and every one of you. Hold that thought 1 second, man. 1 second. See that, right? Thank you for being patient. So you think that everything that you've gone through matters not. And you think that what you've seen, the things you've lost, but not taking into context the things you have. You do realize that blessings can't come where distraction is. And clarity is not found where fear resides. You understand that, right? Let me tell you something. The moment that you give a damn about yourself, that's the moment that your mind is going to change. And the moment that you allow yourself to grow, your whole viewpoint will be made new. Do not allow your environment to dictate your direction. Don't do it. Don't do it. See, you might not realize this, what you've gone through, everything that you've seen was nothing but a season. And but see, what man failed to realize is it's not on God, it's God's time, not ours. He doesn't measure time, but he does measure your heart. See, I don't know if you can see me because I look like a shadow, and I don't want to be rude. So what I'm gonna do is, there you go. Is that better? I know I hear somebody saying, "Yeah." I feel it though. Step off this deck, but let me put this in a better context. See, I wish I had a chair out here, but like I said, I'm still unpacking boxes. I've literally been here now less than 10 days. So we've done a lot of cutting, a lot of edging, a lot of trimming trees, so that I can make this slice my home. Fill it up with love and blessing because you know how it is. A house that prays together stays together. Who am I talking to? And that might be your problem. You might be the only person in your house that's praying. And you're feeling like you are being kept hostage and you're being spiritually chastised. Well, let me tell you something. Before the glory comes, you got to break off the rough edges. I apologize for moving around. I do, because I don't know if you can see me. And I'm trying, because I got the light, because it is overcast here. Can you see me? Nah, I look like dark man now. So I'll be going inside momentarily. There you go. That's better. That's better. But you know, what's been heavy on my heart is the fact that how we like to sensationalize the wrong things and the things that should be cherished and blessed take a back seat. But I understand that that's not a bad thing because see, that's intended for the intended heart and mind. Not everybody is going to understand what you're trying to convey. Not everybody is going to understand the message when it's put out. But at the intended time and moment, it all sinks in. And that's what I'm trying to convince or convey because I can't convince you of nothing. It is your life. You got to live it. So, with that being said, you got to put the work in. I mean, let's look at your life as a diamond. And I know I've said this countless times. You are priceless and you are blessed. And all that is supposed to come to pass was was the spiritual seal placed over your life when you took this physical form. Because you're a spiritual being first. Don't get it twisted. This physical aspect of who we are, that's just to get around on this earthly realm right here. That's it. Because if it really mattered, if it why is it the things that you can't touch, you can't see, have the most impact in your life? Who am I talking about? Who am I talking to? You still feeling the sting of words that was conveyed 5 years ago. You ain't even talked to that person, but you still feel the weight of those words. Maybe you're the one that conveyed it. Maybe it was your actions that you felt, well, hey, you did it to me, I'm going to get mine. But it seems like instead of getting yours, you're still doing time. Let me explain something to you. Nobody wins when it comes to using hate. But if you want to lift that weight off your chest, you got to forgive yourself. Did you hear me? You got to forgive yourself. You still holding on the same burdens that you had when you were 6 years old? For real? And you don't see how much that had an impact on the relationships you have today? Then you're going to forgive yourself. Because forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. You understand that, right? Nobody's got to understand you but you. Why? It's your life. King, I'm talking about your legacy, family. Your legacy is not dictated by what swings between your legs or what's found in your pocket. It is carried on the weight of your last name and the work that you've done. Because guess what? Life is not a game. It is not measured every time you go to the club. Who am I talking to? You feel sky high on the weekends, but you feel very low on Tuesday, right? Because you and I both know that the bill collector don't give a damn about what you do. They just want their money. Who am I talking to? So if you don't like the lifestyle that you're living, or you're feeling like you're living check to check, why don't you humble yourself and get your part-time gig? Who am I talking to? You do know that's what wealthy people do, right? They don't spend money, they save it. They let their money work for them. Maybe you need to come up with a better strategy on how you pay your bills. Because anybody that has any financial uh, wisdom will tell you pay yourself first, but be realistic to how you do it. If you're turning around putting 50% of your paycheck in the club owner's till, you basically work for free. Now, I'm not saying work your fingers to the bone. Mm-mm. I'm saying work smart. But let's look at that environment that you keep so sacred. And here's the irony of it. Why is it that the people that you hold so dear are never around when you need them? Who am I talking to? But you give them justification for bad behavior when you don't realize that they are showing you where they are mentally. So if nothing has changed but time and more excuses, you do understand they are a reflection of your state of mind. You realize that? Huh? Think about it. If you always there when Johnny called, but when you decide to call Johnny, Johnny ain't nowhere to be found. Johnny ain't answering to you. Johnny don't see your wealth, your worth, excuse me. And I'm not saying this to disrespect you. I'm saying this to love you, to lift you up, because we get caught up in the physicality of what a person looks like or what they do, There's nothing but crumbs. That is low priority of what's being offered in return for your time. Who am I talking to? You think that's fair? I don't. I'm gonna tell you what else is not fair. What's not fair is I gotta plug this laptop up because the battery is saying you better do it. I'm gonna walk through this garage. Yeah, it's crazy. But like I said, I've been here for 10 days. But once I get myself together, the diamond that it is, it will shine. And I say that with all humility. Bear with the distractions. I'm gonna sit down like Mr. Rogers does, plug this laptop up. At least you don't have to worry about glare. How about that? Is that better? Is that better? I hope so. Let me turn down this background distraction. Now, someone asked me the other day two questions. Let me not be rude. Matter of fact, someone asked me, she said, Gerald, how do you feel about the situation with the NFL and the blatant uh, blackball, the blackballing of Colin Kaepernick? And I looked at her and I said, Colin's going to be fine. Because when Colin signed his contract and Colin became and put in that clause for being a free agent, Colin don't have to deal with the day-to-day stripes as you and I. Colin is a millionaire. And I'm pretty sure he made savvy decisions for his money to grow. Would I like to see him play again? Of course. Who wouldn't? The man is talented. He's young. But at the end of the day, Colin does not have to get up and do the daily grind that you and I have. But my prayers go out to him. But at the end of the day, you got to live your life just like he got to live his. You ain't never heard Colin get on TV saying, I don't know where my next meal gonna come from. I don't know how I'm gonna pay these bills. I don't know where I'm gonna live. You're not gonna hear that. You won't. But I hope that Colin has a relationship with God. And if anything, this gives Colin an opportunity to see who has his best interest compared to who was a distraction from his path. So that was my response. And she looked at me kind of like, well, why you feel that way? Because at the end of the day, he's a professional athlete. So he is afforded certain entitlements that the fan, you and I, will never have. So I send my prayers out, and I hope that this is only a spiritual season. And I hope one day that he will step on a professional field. But at the end of the day, Colin ain't paying my bills. Colin doesn't have the responsibilities that you and I have. No, he's got support. He'll be just fine. I just hope through all this, if anything, let's use this as an example. Remember, even though this was self-induced, y'all remember when Tiger Woods went through all that stuff? I'm not talking about the DUI. I'm talking about with the whole thing with with the women, the divorce, and all that money that was dangling in front of him. Remember that? And he had all those people that was, yeah, while you riding high, we sponsoring you, and they wanted to jump ship. But what did Tiger Woods do? He watched what he said. He watched what was being perceived, and he focused on Tiger. In turn, he had his season. He cut off the rough edges and he persevered. But see, that's one thing I know how God does. God will give you favor even when you don't deserve it, just to see if you understand what is being shown. Will you retain or embrace the wisdom that I'm giving you? That's what history literally is. Did you learn from it? Do you understand what you're seeing? Are you taking from it the opportunity to retain wisdom, even though it directly doesn't have a physical connection to you? And see, a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people get caught up in the glitz, the flashing lights, the catchphrases. And then when things happen, they feel like they're alienated. Nah, that's what the devil does. The devil will give you a path to step on that spiritual rug so he can pull it from under your feet, only so that you'll fall in that hole to see if you will stay in that hole, or will you see the fortitude of what makes you you and get up. Get up. So you feeling a certain kind of way because Sarah ain't calling you no more. Who am I talking to? It was all good while you were her ATM, but then when you started to see the value of the respect of who you were, now she ain't checking for you. Just know that was divinely meant for you to see it. Sure, it came out in a lesson that made you feel a certain kind of way, but think of it this way: Sarah was not meant to earn the right to change her last name. Not everything that smells good, feels good, looks good, is good. And we are what we attract, family. Now, on a side note, because I've talked too much, my heart goes out to those who were affected due to the hurricanes, and we're not out of it. We're not out. This is just the beginning of it being a habit of seeing this type of weather. This is just the beginning of it. I mean, it is about cause and effect. If we're not respecting the ozone, then guess what? The ozone's not going to respect us, which causes global warming, which in turns which in turns causes the water levels to rise. And you have some people now starting to take heed of that, and they're saying, "What? I don't know if I want oceanfront property anymore. I don't know if I want to live near a fault line anymore. I don't know where to go." What you do is go within yourself. What you do is you allow yourself to have that relationship with God first, and He'll make sure that you are afforded that opportunity to be protected. But see, you can't play with God. You can't. You know, and I'm not making light of this, because the fact of the matter is, millions of people lives were changed in the flicker of a natural event. I mean, you can't get no literal from those who are last are made first and those who are first are made last. If that is not an example right there in a scripture, I don't know what to tell you. Because there are plenty of people that got money in the bank, but they don't have nowhere to lay their head. Think about it. If somebody started a brand new job, has nowhere to go because the job is gone. Someone closed on a house is gone. And let's not talk about them flood vehicles that are going to come to your neighborhood. Because trust and believe, when you hear the metaphorical term, one man's trash is another man's treasure, that's exactly what's going to go down, because you're going to have mechanics going to see, so, oh, I can flip this. And guess what? The mom and pop uh, car dealerships, you're going to see cars that you know in your heart don't rightfully belong there. You're going like, wow, wait a minute, hold on. That's an $80,000 car, but it's 35,000 because it's been flooded. Now let me flip that. When I hung up my boots and took off my uniform and serving in the United States Air Force for a quarter of my life, the first thing I did when I returned back to Virginia Beach is I went to the auto auction. I needed another vehicle, right? First thing I did my homework. When I decided to buy, I bought, and at that time, it was 2004. I bought a '98 Ford Expedition, the big body, and I paid $6,500 for that SUV. And you know what? After driving it for about 3 weeks, I started seeing things. I noticed there was a certain smell, kind of like seafood. I couldn't understand what the hell. Went through the engine, sprayed it down. I should have had stock in air freshener stuff, but it still would come and go. Then I took it to the mechanic and I said, hey, look here. I need you to flush out my lines. And sure enough, when he flushed out the radiator, flushed out the oil reservoir, there was stuff in it. So that told me right then and there that vehicle had been flooded. The point I'm trying to make is be smart. I kept that vehicle, even though I paid $6,500 for it. I ended up putting another $2,000 in it, and I drove that vehicle for another 5 years. And I would have kept driving that vehicle if it didn't have high mileage when I bought it, because it had at that time when I bought it had like 65,000 miles on it. So I ended up putting another 45,000 on it, and I knew that this is before they did uh, extended warranties on vehicles and stuff like that. And that would end up being the reason why I would buy my first Jeep Wrangler. So you gotta be careful when you're looking at buying a vehicle out there, because some are gonna have your best interest and some are not, and some are gonna look at you as, hey, that's just another dollar that I've made. That's why you're gonna hear a lot of as is. You're gonna see a lot of salvage titles. Just do your homework. It's your money. Now, on a different note, unless you've been under a rock, you see that they didn't even go 7 days. because of the hurricane dominated the news. And now they back out there talking about them damn statues. But here's the thing that I find real ironic right now, because they're in St. Louis. The same people that are kicking dust are the same people that don't live in St. Louis. But here's the thing about it. If you turn around and do your homework and go back to the first protest and look at the patterns of it, all this civil unrest, tell me you don't see George Soros' footprint in that. When you look at the first Black Lives Matter rally, tell me you don't see, because guess what? People are so passionate about a statue. Why is it you're not passionate about our public schools? Why is it that you're not passionate about your health care? I get it, because you in your 20s and you think that your life is bulletproof and you think nothing's going to happen no matter how high you get, no matter how much alcohol you drink. You think that who you are now is going to be who you are in 20 years. I'm going to tell you something. If you actually think that is the case, just make sure you got your copay money ready. Ask those people that are dealing with neurological issues today and ask them what were they doing 20 years ago. You're going to hear the same story. Ask those people that were fine 1 minute and they went because they felt something wasn't right to get checked out and they got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. How about lupus? How about muscular sclerosis or muscular dystrophy? What about that? But you keep on putting them chemicals in your system. Everything comes full circle, family. There's a cause and effect for everything. And I know when somebody's saying, well, Joe, how you going to sit up here, talk about cause and effect, and you smoking cigarettes? You're right. I'm not going to play the hypocrite on that. I'm not. But I'm going to tell you something. Your life cannot be replaced. But it matters not if you don't invest in it. So while you sitting on the foot of your bed crying because Terry ain't called you, but you mad at Steve, or you laid up with John, but your heart is with Larry, you need to put your focus on you. And yeah, I know, Kings, society's convinced you that, hey, I'm a male and I'm supposed to go out here and sow my seed as much as the wind blows. Let me tell you something. The worst thing you can do is shoot your shot to someone that doesn't have the ability to catch it. I'm talking about your heart. I'm talking about being able to walk with you, stand by you. Because, see, I got it. Because every president has a certain agenda. And they're going to have a legacy. And you kind of see where this is going. Just like the accolades we gave our former president, but yet it's called a spade a spade. He helped push the LGBT agenda. Yeah, he did. But listen, at the end of the day, you lay what you lay. You live your life. You deserve to be happy and feel safe. Just be accountable for your actions. Because all things come full circle. Shouldn't love, respect, honor be what you see? And don't worry, because I know they don't. You don't never hear about. You don't never hear them talk about this in the media because you got a lot of this going on too. You got a lot of people that doing a lot of switch hitting going on. They started off. They were here. They got their feelings hurt. And then they said, well, you know what? I don't want to feel that pain no more. So I'm going to do me and end up being done by everybody. Then when they get tired of being done by everybody, they make a choice. And then after that choice, they start to see the nuances of, well, that's not really how I feel, but now I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I live a lie. You realize this is going to be the first generation that your great grandparents, 1 out of 6, is going to have a bisexual life. That's okay. Learn from the road that you're on. But make sure that the road that you're on has respect on it. But if God is not there, that's the wrong road anyway. And I got it. You got people that people want to do what they want to do. But is it worth your tears? Is it worth your struggle? Maybe that's the reason why you're going through what you're going through, because your stubbornness is blocking you from you. Who am I talking to? You think that life as it is the best it's going to be? How about all those people that you see 1 minute, they're riding high. Next minute, they done fail. Even if you fall, doesn't mean you got to stay down. That's a choice. So I'm going to bring this home. I think it's kind of funny that we we posed all this fear out there, and people ran to all these gun shows, and now we got just as many stolen and illegal guns out there. But yet, on the same breath, they still targeting you too, Queen. Oh yeah, you didn't know that? The biggest consumer for gun sales are women, and they pose fears like, well, you don't want to get sexually assaulted, do you? You better be caught with and caught without. How about make solid choices? How about common sense? Now, I understand you can't predict what's going to happen, but you still have a right to choose how you're going to deal. That's all I'm going to say on that. Because meanwhile, in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, it is 9:45 here on East Coast. I'm sorry, 10:35. Somebody started their day this morning, and unfortunately, they're not going to make it home. That's somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's father, somebody's brother, someone's uncle, someone's grandparent. You can't live your life in fear. But until you decide to claim it, everything that you've gone through, everything that you felt, you basically have told the people that have done it to you it was in vain. I think not. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your work. And for that, it helps me discern oh yeah, in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, why is it that we drive so fast on the highways, but when you look over to you happen to look over that you and your cell phone, you know that's the leading in car accidents now, that cell phone. hmm But you know what's creeping? It's reckless driving. How about where you live at? You noticing that people are driving with their high beams on, no matter what time of day it is? That's not by coincidence. It's because you're being profiled. Be smart. Return the same way you left. Protect it, but be blessed. Peace.